Swag. Hey guys, and welcome to the first episode of the Outkast Podcast. I am joined with my guest, Gavin Bain, aka Brians Mcloud. How you doing today, man?
I'm good, man. It's an honor to be on to basically take your guys' cherry.
Exactly. That's such a good way of putting it.
Break your virginity.
Right. And with me, I've also got my boy, co-host Josh, aka DaMonoWay. Is that name still? Are you still using that name?
I might switch it up.
Okay, cool.
might, but for now we can roll with that. Yeah.
All right.
Damn, this Lipton iced tea is pretty hardcore stuff.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Toast into the first.
I'm calling these like
Clink,
pod
clink,
shots.
clink, clink, clink. Hey, pod shots.
Okay, cool. So, it's strange how we met, but let me give you a little background first on who you are. You're a rapper, a producer, founder of a record label, Killer Wasps, which I didn't know that until recently. I'm sorry, all these notes, by the way, are from Wikipedia, so I don't know how accurate they are.
Let's go down. Let's go down
let's go down the list.
The list of inaccuracies.
Right. You're also an author. You're a singer. And you're going to describe, obviously, what a music hacker is later on as well. Yeah. But kind of give us a background of like where you started from and so on and so forth.
So I was born in South Africa in the middle of apartheid.
Uh-huh. Wow.
And so I got to live through seeing, in my lifetime, the only real revolution that I've seen. And what I actually genuinely think was the end of World War II.
Wow.
When Mandela came out and he kind of like, and the kind of country was galvanized to kind of like essentially overthrow the last of the Nazis. Wow. Do you know what I mean? That's how I see it, right? So I kind of moved, because I'm kind of a bit of an odd kind of South African, right? I'm a Brit and I don't like British colonialism.
Right, okay.
So, do you know what I mean?
I hear that.
It's like, in a way, like, and this is kind of controversial with a lot of my South African friends, because where you're from and where you're born is kind of where you represent.
Right.
So, but for me, that was like, that was complicated for me then. So I've never been like that, because I felt like, this isn't really our country.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So like, our family kind of left, but not after doing a lot to kind of fight for, kind of equal rights, but in a kind of way that was like, the country has to be given back to who it rightfully belongs to. Yeah. And a kind of tough decision there was a part of, all right, well, if we're about that, we need to lead by example and kind of go and, I guess, move to our country. And so for me, that was very, very foreign, because Britain was not really anything like, other than football, that was the only thing I kind of liked about Britain, like just seeing footballers on the TV.
Right.
And I was a footballer, so my dad kind of thought the transition's not going to be too hard because he's going to play football. And I learned that African style of football, so I was like a dribbler and really fast. So I came across, and also in South Africa, like, music is so incredible in Africa, essentially. Yeah. Like, there's, and it's not just like, it was so diverse in what was available. Like, so I was like growing up listening to, punk as much as I was like hip hop, and that was totally like normal. Like, if you, it's kind of, it was normal to the culture of everyone just being in love with music is super normal, But coming to the UK, it was really fucking weird, because I'd be walking around with like Tupac t-shirts on, or I'd walk around one day with a Nirvana t-shirt on, and in Scotland where I moved to, they hadn't heard either of those. Wow. Like, I was the only kid with a skateboard, only kid kind of like who had a kind of an idea of American culture. Right. And I was from South Africa. You would have thought like that Britain would have been more up, but Scotland was kind of this weird version of Britain. I found it was like this kind of held back in many ways, loads of prejudice, loads of hate, inner fighting between religions. I didn't even know what religion I was. So immediately went into school and got just beat up, because I was like, I had blonde hair, I had darker skin, and I wore baggy trousers, and I skateboarded around, and they just thought, what is this, dude? You know?
Right.
So my skateboard wheels would get stolen off, like used as a weapon against me, like, and I got beat up pretty bad, and I stopped doing all the sports, and eventually got really, back into football, started doing really, really well, and I was about to sign a professional football deal. And on that day, I'd been being bullied for so long because of the way I sounded, because my accent. My accent was just, I thought I was, everywhere I've been at, I think I'm speaking the same as everyone who's speaking to me.
Yeah, exactly.
So I've got this weird thing where I can't really hear that there's so much weirdness between our voices. But everyone thought, like, what's this dude sounding like? This is weird accent he's got. So my accent was probably more South African at that point. You know, so I got bullied bad, and eventually I got jumped on the day that I was supposed to sign the professional contract. Well, I did actually. I was jumped into, I was beaten into kind of intensive care.
Wow.
And so I had to learn how to like do everything again, you know. And so football kind of got strapped away from me. But in that period, I love music. But in that period, my uncle had been playing to me rap, like. And I loved rap, but he was playing like kind of more counterculture guys, more underground stuff, you know, like, and at that time it was like, kind of boot camp clique and more of the kind of unheard New York stuff, you know, so obviously a Wu-Tang Clan, but like more kind of Smith & Wesson and the kind of underground kind of guys. And I just got mad into it. And so football kind of was going away. So I started to just become addicted to rap. And it actually became the only way for me to kind of all the shit that was in my head just bubbling up, all the kind of like not understanding the world and kind of being confused at all the hate in the world and religion and everything, and just feeling like I was lied to everywhere. I felt for a long time that my parents lied to me. I felt like everyone was just lying, you know. And so I kind of, and my uncle would sit me down and be like, you know, religion's all like not really real and all these things. Like so many people were entering craziness in my head, and it was such a vulnerable time. And I felt like hearing Biggie and Pac and hearing like Bone Thugs and Harmony and stuff, they started to speak to me louder than anyone. And so I kind of fell into just becoming a rapper because obviously I liked the technicalities, and I'd been writing since I was 9, just stories and stuff, but I fell into the way it was the most technical way to express the madness in my head. So I started doing it every single day, more than sports, more than anything. And by the time I got to university, I'd met one other dude. The first time I met another dude who was into rap the same way I was, it was like, all right, we're in a group. Cool. We're going to do this.
Explain that, actually. Explain how you guys, because again, let's go back to the Wikipedia. It says, what I've got here, it says you guys were working together in Scotland, found the idea of Scottish rap was not taken seriously, and after being dismissed as rapping proclaimers, you guys decided to take on American identities.
Well, the thing is, like, I had always rapped, when I was rapping along to the records, I'd always rapped in American. Like, I didn't know there was any idea of people doing it in any other voice. So when I hear hip-hop, when I had heard it in my head, if I was ever thinking of a lyric, it was always in an American voice. Like, the voice in my head would be American. So I didn't really understand. So when we first started doing it, me and Bill, we obviously just rapped in American. Like, there was no, and obviously at this time, you're talking 20 years ago now. There was there was like dudes in London, but not really enough to consider it like a massive like career that's gonna, I'm gonna go do what you know Gunshot are doing, or do you know what I mean? Like, there was only 2 in the whole of Scotland, you know, that were rapping, 2 groups. You know, and so it was like, this isn't, you know. So when we started to do it in an American accent, and we had to find a place to do it. It wasn't like clubs going, here's a hip hop night, you know. We had to go and throw our own hip hop night. So we started a hip hop night, we started an R&B night, and we just started to like almost become promoters of our own. Like, wait till the end of the night and then throw the mic up. You know, like, everyone's there just have a good time, but no, you're all here to watch us rap at the end of the day. You know, so eventually we got on it, and it started to, we were really like kind of funny dudes. So we like just making people laugh, just in kind of acting off each other.
Right.
So the easiest thing was to make people laugh with rhymes. And if you could do that, you know, it would really, it would steal the show. Like no matter who we were playing with or where we were playing, we'd play like on band nights and we'd just grab the mic and say something funny and rhyme. And, you know, that's all anyone would talk about for 3 weeks afterwards, you know. So it was in the first kind of time that I got like a pop from a lyric, I was just like, because I wasn't really good with girls and my confidence was destroyed from what happened at school. And I was like a nervous wreck of a dude, you know. And then grabbing the mic and then dropping like a one-liner, like a punchline, you know, and people going, oh, you know, that, you know, and then like then walking off, and a girl, like a really pretty girl, was like, oh, how do you do that? And I was just like, oh man,
I found it.
It go real,
you know. And it's really weird because you kind of it kind of snatches you away from trauma, you know, like where you think. The only other way I would get that used to be like football. I used to like be able to not make my parents argue if I was just winning and scoring goals. So that was like such a hardcore, intense drive. Like I got to score this game. I got to score. I've always been that kind of heavy mentality because it's real. It's like I got to make my parents stop arguing. So that's what I was always doing everything for. And then so this wasn't as deep, but it was kind of like I'm never gonna get laid.
Yeah.
But now I got a microphone. There's an opportunity here. Right. So it did kind of it was a social thing, but I became so addicted to it though. Like it completely took over. I was so obsessive, and not even to mention like when there was a DJ who was messing around with us and like showing us stuff, and he was like a DMC, like came third in the British DMCs, and he started showing me how to make beats and juggle beats and produce. And that was like another, like, oh my God, like another fascination. So I fell into love with every stage of it. So I was just a fan of the music and the culture, but then seeing how things are made. I guess I just have like a really analytical brain where I wanted to find out how every beat was ever made.
Right.
So
Swag.